champions. Yes, we are finally.
Funky gets a quad kill. Oh, big barrage on the side of Funky.
It may be a cold November evening, but we've got some great action tonight here in the Owlet League Majors Division between No and Storybook Villains. But before we get into both of these teams and break it down, the who, what, where, and what, let's introduce the staff tonight. Myself, Cajun Wise Guy, will be on casting and producing duties, and along with my friend here, Avalex. Go ahead, Avalex, introduce yourself.
Howdy, guys. It's an honor to be here, and I'm really excited to get this game underway.
Yeah, we were a little concerned here that the match might be a little bit delayed here. Storybook Villains is a little bit late here to the server. But before we get into it tonight, the maps that we're going to be going through, we're going to be basically covering... Let's see, let me pull up that list here. We're going to be going through Helios, I believe is going to be our opening map, followed by Horizon Lunar Colony. Yes, the 2 CP that everybody asked for is finally here. New Bonnie, Gibraltar, and if need be, Nepal as the tiebreaker. It would be great. And if we get to 5, let's face it, that's going to be a great showing here for Storybook Villains. Storybook Villains is coming in a bit of the underdog, still with a great record, the number 2 team in the league with an 8-3 record. However, they are going against No, which is 10-1, and the number 1 team in the league. So they've got a tall order here. And with it being said, this could be the last time. These teams will probably meet up again in the playoffs. That we're probably rest assured. So tonight's match could be, Avalex, your pin. This could be the last time we see the old double shield meta, with all the changes that we see on PTR, and if the gods of Blizzard so deem it for the mere mortals, maybe they'll transfer it over to the live servers.
Maybe. I'm really interested to see. I mean, because of course, Orisa, with her new buffs coming in, I don't see her going anywhere. And at the higher you go, the less you see Ryan, the more you see the Sigma. So it really depends on if they can really get Rhine, and Diva's still out pretty far. So I don't really see her coming back in with the changes. While I don't think shields are going to be as prevalent, I think enough changes have made that to where people are going to have to use their own personal cover more. I don't think it's going to get rid of those heroes just yet.
Yeah, I'm going to be keying in on both tank cores tonight and seeing how aggressive they play, because being aggressive is, I think it's just a key component of the new game that Blizzard wants us to kind of participate in. They want you to be in there. They want these tanks to be protecting their team, but not in a passive barrier way. They want to be protecting their team in a aggressive body block, doing damage, kind of more skill-based way. So I think it's going to be passive tanks that kind of sit there and rely on their team to perform behind them. Maybe days gone by. This may be the last few weeks that we see that style of play here.
I mean, you've just completely shot every platinum team and below done.
It's going to be.
I don't think the tanks understand aggressive.
It's going to be a shock. I think the first time they roll up to a choke, and you, instead of using your shield as a cooldown counter, you're going to be throwing up the old way, which is you're throwing that shield out there to block damage, and before you even get halfway through the choke, it's gone. So it's going to be an adjustment, that personal cover positioning. And now the game has sped up, so you're not going to spend that much time in choke as you did before. However, it's still a thing. You still can't just plod your way through it. You're going to have to be aggressive. Your pathing is going to have to be on point. So we're going to be looking tonight on both of these teams here. It looks like Paper Sour and Collywog are going to be the tank core for No, where Bowl of Bulls and Inaloco is going to be Storybook Villains. Again, I expect to see Sig tonight, expect to see Orisa tonight. We'll kind of go from there. But again, Helios, control point map here. Both teams are still kind of coordinating. as far as getting this set up. But the Owlet League here, this is week 1 of stage 3. So this is kind of a soft reset. Now, you do get to keep your record as you go into stage 3, but stage 3 has its own playoffs. So while these teams, this is kind of, it's the big game up front. So if Storybook Villains can sit down and take care of business and kind of come up and snag a win from nowhere, or at least take a map here, it's going to bode very well for them come playoff time.
Yeah, I mean, really, this far in, I would really like to see Storybook Villains really take it away from No, just to kind of upset things going forward, and then maybe have No come back in the playoffs to kind of be like, okay, we allowed you to have your fun. So I'm looking for that. I'm looking for a whole bunch of Doomfist and Reaper as the 2 DPS.
And when
So it's definitely, again, it's gonna be a showing, it's gonna be a game, and I'm really excited to get Ilios underway here in a few minutes.
So if we're seeing a Reaper Doomfist, who do you rely on to be, we know that generally who's going to be the initiator and who's going to be the closer at this level, low diamond? Who do you expect to initiate the fight? Is it going to be Reaper kind of going in, back behind them, maybe getting kind of a little cheeky pick on one of their supports, maybe in the back line? Or do you expect the Doomfist to kind of initiate right away?
That depends a lot on what the other team is running for DPS. Really, your Reaper should be clear all to initiate, except unless they have a May. And it's almost kind of the same with, because if they have a May, you have to initiate with the entire team, or you have to hold them around. But without the May, yeah, Reaper will come in, get a couple of shots in, hopefully take someone out. If not, take someone low, and then wraith away. Doomfist has a harder time because his movements are a little bit more predictable.
And we haven't talked about a combination just quite yet, but it would not surprise me if we see a pharmacy. A lot of these maps are very conducive to having a pharmacy, and again, if you a Pharah can really interrupt your pathing. Maybe not getting any kills, but a Pharah really punishes teams that don't follow their tanks closely. You can kind of interfere with the pathing of those stragglers, kind of boop them out of the way, put a lot of pressure on damage. Maybe you're not kind of knocking them out of the fight, so to say, but you're forcing the tanks to turn around, you're forcing the healers to turn around. So the pharmacy can be very effective if used properly. Now, with that being said, there's some maps in our rotation tonight that they're just not a lot of opportunity here. So, Ilios, I do expect to have a pharmacy come out, Watchpoint Gibraltar, maybe even a Widow. Nubani can be there with it, but Horizon Lunar Colony, yeah, I'm super surprised to see a Pharah there. But overall,
I mean, Pharah is so easily, like, it's storybook counter, right? Like, you grab the hit scans, and unless your Pharah is playing super, like, hyper aware of her environment, then Pharahs generally go off, and you actually end up getting your Mercy killed as well. I do foresee if they do come out, especially with the Reaper Doomfist, or even the May Reaper May Doomfist, then I do think that there will be a Pharah in play. I don't know how long it will be in play.
And as the background sounds indicate, yes, teams have finally readied up. And we're slowly rolling into Ilios here as teams are kind of situating right now.
Initiating match.
And we'll just kind of comment, see how these team comps kind of roll in right now. But again, we got a good 30 seconds here, so adults, begin destroying your liver. Kids, work on that kidney of yours, and we're gonna have ourselves
later.
we're gonna have ourselves a great match here tonight.
The real question is how many environmental kills are there gonna be?
Indeed.
Ready for battle.
All right, it looks like everybody is starting to square away. I'm going with 20 seconds left, I think this is what we're going to see. And we are literally mirror comp.
Yeah, and when we get to a mirror comp, you know, it's definitely comes down to individual play. If we can see some really good pathing, your in-game leaders are going to have to be on point for callouts.
3, 2, 1. Round 1. Capture the objective.
Now, with a mirror comp, and of course they won't know this until the next 15 seconds, is really your Doomfist has a lot of open room here to take the first pick, as opposed to your Reaper.
And both teams, no quarters drawn here. Slight advantage to no with the Doomfist getting in the backfield.
Man, and as you see at the moment, it is shield everywhere. And it does look like no will take me first fight.
And with point going over to no. They're going to be pushing up into the box a little bit.
All right, we're not seeing any switches, so Storybrooke is looking confident in the mirror.
You know, in this early into the fight, you can't really recommend a switch. You're running meta.
This is where I would recommend the pharmacy. On an open map like this. All right, we are starting to see ultimates come online. Ooh, and you hate to see a Reaper not getting anything out of his ult.
Yeah, that's going to be hurting them. That's one ult they'd probably want back.
And Storybrooke Heroes decides that it is their point.
But no, with 50 on the clock, not a bad first effort. Now it's going to be up to Storybook Villains here to see if they can't maintain that box as well as No did.
It looks like Storybrooke Villains are going to hold back a little bit. Like they don't.
Yeah,
have
they're
the
playing deep.
strong
They're
on
playing
point.
deep. Strong ults here by.
When we get the first environmental kill. I'm gonna call that a kill because I don't think he walked off. Bad reflex. Oh, but this does give Storybrooke Heroes the chance to actually play a little bit further up. Not unless playing back is where they want to be, which it looks like that's where they want to be. All right.
Well, you're playing that game. The deeper into the point, the longer the journey the opposing team has. So it just depends on where you want to control the fight. And Storybook Villains really want to control the fight here.
It's kind of awkward because I expect there to be people in the backline and they're playing it really broad.
They got to get that bongo down. Storybook Villains is really doing a great job here controlling. Even though that bongo came out, it's still an even fight.
It is actually going both ways, and I was actually worried for a split second there that No would be in a lot better position because it almost looked like they rotated it on Storybrooke, and Storybrooke decided to not allow that to happen.
Right now with Reaper with No pushing up, cleaning off the final remnants here, but 92%, that does bode well into Storybook Villains' favor here if they can be smart about it. All right, it's not, you know, they're at 60%. They really got one dry run here. They got to make a good, solid dry run and get some ults out of No right now.
Do you dry run though? Because they're up in the ult.
Yeah, I would do a dry run.
And this is why we're golden. So yeah, the dry run didn't happen. They are going all or nothing right here. They're about to clean up. No is unless No can get here quickly, and they are switching to the ability to do that.
99%. The counter's live. Can they
you
clean it
really
up?
You really need to nose Reaper to get in and to ult and have a really nice showing, and it doesn't look like it's happening. Man, I'm really disappointed in some Reapers tonight. And Storybook will take the first.
Yeah,
map,
they should
or
take
the
that.
first, yeah. Well, I mean, a map-ish. First stage.
Score
So I mean, definitely not bad.
1.
Yeah, I seen Storybrooke decide to pull their ults here. They were up in the ult economy overall, so they were already beating No in the ult economy. So I think that was the right choice. And we are seeing the switch here that we talked about.
Yeah, you know, if you're playing down and, you know, if you're not winning the meta fight, you know, that's the decision that always goes to team captains as far as, well, what do we do here? What do we change?
Round 2. Capture the objective.
So we are going to see the pharmacy, and of course Storybrooke's going to stay on what worked last map because why change it?
Yeah, and that may actually put them at a little bit disadvantage, you know, but they're strong pathing. They're taking away the sight lines from the Pharaoh right now.
Oh, and Storybrooke is being really aggressive. No's already lost too. That might be that fight.
The objective is now.
I really like what Storybook is doing here. You know, they did not concern themselves with the point so much. They concerned themselves with the fight. They concerned themselves about where the other team, where No was positioning, how to minimize the damage to the Pharah. Again, what did I say? Pharah interrupts your pathing, and if you negate that so that the Pharah can't put in, you really take a lot of value away from that whole pharmacy in the sky.
Without knowing the pattern, though, I do believe that if No ran the counter or the mirror comp again, I do believe Storybrooke would have taken the same path. They didn't have the information, but they were super aggressive. They were really comfortable in their strategy, and they executed it really well, which is what's got them 40% to 0 at the moment.
Yep, I'm passing 40 on the clock right now. It's going to be up to No here. They've got to make a play. You do not want to be letting this get in.
has to land this ult.
Yes. We have to have a big ult here from the Pharah.
And there
It doesn't get bigger than that.
I don't know if they're going to be able to yep, the Mercy got the res up. So Storybrooke will be able to finally go back to their spawn and make the changes. However, they make those changes at 68%.
And 68% is a
And
good.
It looks like Storybrooke is confident in this. And I mean, as long as they avoid the pharmacy, because you have to think of how much resources is going into that. I mean, it's doable. And No's definitely up in the ult economy.
And they did a great job there.
Storybrooke is up in the ult economy.
And I tell you what, the 0 dams are being given to that Pharah. Just pound the damage in.
I was expecting to see either a Doomfist or the Reaper, especially when the Sigma ulted. I was expecting the Doomfist to come in on top of it. So here's the thing though. Do you start throwing away ults now and switching to counter? Or do you assume that the only reason No has held you off so far is because of the ult?
Yeah, well, to me it's all coming down to the Reaper. The Reaper has got to get into position.
And that fight is done. Alright,
Nope.
with this, they get one fight. There's one fight left on this map. They have 3 ults on the board for Storybrooke. They've ran through all their ults except for Blizzard, but Blizzard is huge, especially for a death ball kind of brawl comp that Storybrooke is running.
Yeah, and if the Pharah can knock out one, just knock out one on that way in, this is going to be
Storybook's gonna have to use the ult here. The Reaper's down without. Oh, and that did.
Yeah, I think this is one of those resets. We'll take it into the next map here. It's cleanup time.
You feel bad being a Reaper holding your ult though at Oh, the Reaper's gonna try and get in. Oh, and no one cares about him. Bye-bye, Reaper. Ow, that hurt my soul a little bit.
We've got Battle Mercies, we've got Winstons, we've got all sorts of chaos on the point right now.
I mean, I will say that Storybrooke is putting up a really nice fight. It's a fight they're gonna lose.
But it's a nice fight.
It looked pretty. It looked pretty. I think fundamentally, I think some changes need to be made at around the 50% mark. If not, absolutely the second that the Pharaoh wipes the group, like you either have to counter it, or some things have to happen. And barring those not happening, you're just kind of sitting there.
But was that the right call for Storybook villains to always stick to their meta? I mean, hand it to them, man. They tried. They tried hard, but the Pharaoh was always interrupting the pathing, always on top of them, and particularly was always on top of the Reaper.
As a Overwatch player, I will have to say that 100% comes down to what are they comfortable on and what do they practice. If they don't have the counters or the maneuvers in their kit to make it work for them, then they're better off just trying to just pray. Now this should be Storybrooke all the way. They are in a brawl atmosphere, and it's not. They could not make the brawl work. And I know the one thing I'm looking at on Storybrooke, I would change immediately. You're running up against two very good main healers on top of a Rez versus a Lucio and a Moira. So if you don't have the damage to get through them, then you're going to be stuck in some very long fights, and the healing will win it.
Yeah, and the Pharaoh's doing a great job just scouting out where they're coming, too.
Oh, the information, yeah.
Yeah, the information's great. I mean,
And the Mei will wall off here, I do believe. Yep. They were able to get around it, but she did go to split them up. And congrats, you killed the Mei, but all of you are frozen, and now you're just going to sit there. And this Pharah,
it's like they refuse to acknowledge she exists.
yeah, and that's fine if you can get undercover, if you can play personal and get undercover, or if you can take her out with the Reaper or the Mei. But you cannot ignore her. You're ignoring a Pharaoh when you're also running lesser in a heal. To me, that screams your Reaper has to frag out. The Reaper has to be on his toe every single time.
Yeah, you got to get that bongo down now.
And again, the Mei walls up, and your team dies. Because the only person you have that can help is the Moira. And I don't care how good you are, but a Moira is not going to have all that in healing.
All right, so your Storybook villains, what change do you make? I mean, right now they got off the Reaper, they went Doomfist. They do have Mei ult coming online. I don't know if it's going to be effective enough.
The Mei ult's not enough.
They should win this. They do have damage bongo. They should be able to do something.
Ult, though. A Pharaoh ult is going to do exactly what she just did. And if you're Storybrooke, you're hitting every single ult, but guess what? You lost 2 people before you get to hit those ults. I mean, it's great that you came in, and Storybrooke's got a lot of ults coming online right now, but none of it matters if you're in a spot. I love the Mei ult. The Lucio, I mean, it's gonna stall out great here.
But you got to kill what you can kill. And that is to say, the Mei has to focus somebody that's killable, going after
Right,
the tanks.
and I mean, the Mei did a really good job. I mean, they just lost the majority of that hold there, but you now have no coming back after being killed by the Mei.
You know what? If I were no, yeah, give it to him. You know, back off.
Yeah, oh, absolutely. This is, and I'm really, I will admit, I am slightly disappointed in No for making the heroes swaps for speed. And of course, now they're going back to what they were. They
Right.
threw away a little bit of the ult. I thought better of them. I thought they gave it to them and kept the heroes. Because at 0% you can do that. And I don't agree with Hammond here. They're running a Mei. I don't understand what you're trying to do with a Hammond, but I mean, I'm also not a Diamond player, so.
But still, we're making observations.
Oh yeah. No,
Yeah.
And by the way, the Pharah is still completely. They finally got a Pharah. I think that's one of the first times I've seen the Pharah die outside of her using her ult.
What? She went on the point, and I think it was a little bit of a. All right, so Storybook here should win this one, clutch it out.
Storybook's, and the way Storybook is playing right now, they are all on the point, right? Like
Yeah.
you have to get the point to take. They have a Mei, they have a Doomfist, they have a lot of presence on point that makes it very difficult to stand toe-to-toe to them in that short range.
All right, so since
Really
they have a
what
lot,
has to happen is the Nose Pharah has to get her ult, has to surprise them and get a few kills. And it's definitely doable.
Right. But what do we
we're
got?
at
We got
80%.
80%, 85%. We've got Mei Blizzard online. We've got Damage Boost online. Bongo's online. All right, let's see what we can do here. Here it comes. Here it comes.
A lot for them, and this is going to go. Ooh, the Pharah again with the ult. Again, you have to stand toe to toe with her. The Orisa ult's still up for Storybook. Like, there's nothing you can do here.
And
Don't get me wrong, I was going to feel slightly like I made a bad call but no, you again, there was nothing about your comp that dealt with the Pharah at all.
yeah, I mean that was what you were all in on. You were just all in on beating the other 5 members and using that to clean up on the Pharah. But
Well, and here's the thing, I think it could have been done. But I think if you're going to play a comp and you are going to ignore a character, like you're not going to do a lot of damage, then literally, and it might be this way because I can't hear the comms, but you have to have the position of that character at all the time. If you decide you can't kill a Reaper because he's always flanking or doing something, fine. But you have to know where he is.
and so we move on to
But
Horizon.
looking at 99%, you're looking at 2-1. A hell of a map from both teams.
Yeah, I mean it was. I thought No was just gonna just go 99-0, 100-0 on that last one.
Storybook
And
is here to play.
They came back and they really made a point of it. So nonetheless, No first blood here, and we draw back into the booth here where both teams kind of sorted out. We're going to be moving into Horizon Lunar Colony. And again, as I've said, everybody's favorite
I wanna see a
2CP
sim.
map.
I want to see a sim.
We want to see a sim. Yeah, we want to see some sim strats here.
I always want to see sims. Sims are interesting creatures.
You know, but I think both
yeah.
of these teams very much seem to be in the meta, but who knows? Like I said, we don't have Horizon Lunar Colony in competition right now, not this season. So, you know, we've played in other leagues before, and yeah, the Sim 2 point is a very viable strategy here for any 2CP, you know, and that's, your team has to be all in on it, but you got to get there. But with that being said, we'll see if both of these teams can kind of adjust to that. I'm thinking that whoever's defense is probably going to be fairly meta. It's always up to the offense to come up with the creative way to get to the point.
Oh, absolutely. And if Storybrooke is going to continue to run the Lucio and opt for the speed, I do think that the damage is going to have to start making some bigger plays. Because again, you're going up against shields. You can almost promise you're going to see an Orisa, you're going to see a Sig. So the damage have to make the healer's life easier while making the healer's life on the other team harder.
Yeah. And to remind everyone, yes, these are the top 2 teams in the league. No number 1, Storybook Villains. I don't know why we want to call it Brook. Yeah. A little bit of a language inflection there. But, they're number 2 in this league. This could be a little bit of a precursor to the playoffs. And again, the playoffs might be completely different should Blizzard opt to roll the PTR changes into the live servers. So this could be the last of the double shield meta.
Again, I'm calling it now that it won't happen. And for one, they have to. I do believe they have to up Ryan's shield, unless they're going to up his damage, which I don't see happening. So Ryan at the moment is in a kind of an awkward spot. His shield's a little bit better, but they're nerfing shields across the board. So I mean, you kind of have to see what happens there. They just buffed Winston's shield as far as the duration of when it can be thrown. So yeah, I think double shields are still going to be a thing until they figure out. Hammond right now I think is a hidden gem in tanks. A good Hammond player, they're doing it. In fact, I don't know what exactly this is. There's a Bastion, so I'm excited.
Attackers incoming in 30 seconds.
Sorry, I got sidetracked by the
right. We're looking at, everybody can kind of see these team guns. Sometimes team kind of play with us casters a little bit, kind of throw us a little bit of a curve.
The only problem I have with Bastion is this comp has to be extremely mobile. And it's on defense, so they're going to be bouncing the Bastion around. That's the reason why you run the Sim the Bastion. It's because you can bounce them around and a lot of things can happen.
Right.
No is still running super traditional.
We're gonna get some first player action here from the Bastion and see where this takes us.
And they're already starting to move. Bastion's already up in the center.
Yeah, I think the Bastion was positioned a little bit too far back. They couldn't really get into the.
Hard. They are getting up under him now. They are making it a pain.
Yeah.
And that is, I mean, you hate to see it happen, but I think No took a gamble there that they just couldn't.
Well, it was it wasn't a bad idea. The positioning of the Bastion was a little too deep onto the platform, so his angle of attack was a little too shallow. He couldn't really get on anybody.
It's just going to be a straight roll. Is Storybrooke about to take this across the board? I do believe they are.
Yeah, it's.
You see No now making the speed pick. They have yet to hit 33%, so No is actually putting a lot of time on this point.
They passed the 33%. They've got time in the bank now.
Yeah, but No's not making this up. They're constantly going in spawn. Storybrooke is completely dominating the area.
There we have it, folks. 2 points.
That's the reason why everyone hates this map. Rolling into second point can be absolutely just obliteration. But here's the thing. I am going to give the credit to No. They did not run the same comp. They dared to try something different.
Yeah, no, not, and it was so close to working. it comes when we're dealing with Bastion. Again, when you're running a Bastion, you're all in on that strategy. Everybody has to be in on it. Everybody has to be protecting it, and whatever the Bastion shoots at, you've got to shoot at. You just have to make those pins fall down. And in this case, when they went to the second point defense and the sim went above the point, it was a little too deep, and all they did is just run underneath the Bastion, and they just kind of sat there. And then, yeah.
All right, so we are going to see another. No is doing again something different, which is awesome. And Storybrooke is doing what they know. Funny enough. So I mean, yeah, it's gonna be the hit the nail the same way every time. Yeah, you'll get it built. There might be a quicker way to do it, but. I think what's going to come down to here is how well the Orisa can pull them off the teleporter before the teleporter gets placed.
Yeah.
And how quickly everyone can go, because if the sim gets her turret set up, and there it is. The Reaper's got to go. They're going to have to kill this Reaper. Sim's got to get more turrets up on the point.
Yeah, those turrets have got to be putting in a little bit of work here. But it's
I
been
really
repelled.
Think the call here is, again, building the team on limited knowledge. You have to lose the Lucio for no. They need a more solid healer to be able to sit on top of the Sim and the Reaper. Because once the Sim gets a level 3 beam is what kills the other team, right?
Yeah.
So,
and you just don't have the healing right now to stay in that pocket.
I like the teleporting chain. All right, and at this point, you get to what you know. If you don't run this strategy, you get off the same.
Agreed.
Storybrooke is countering well.
They're rotating well. They're focusing a little bit better.
Well, you just used your sim ult. So unless you're going to come up with something like a positioning that's really unique, I think this is where you change. You have 2 minutes left, which gives you another ult. Ooh, that's an... Okay.
Well, now, you have to poke into it now. You just have to poke. You have to poke. And it's a reset. We're down to 1 minute and 20 seconds.
Yeah, I think another thing is if you're going to run the same, you have to be extremely tight. If you're not, then you
and they've made the switch. They're not running the sim anymore.
All right, Laser is looking for a really good ult kill. And even if he gets it, this kill is done.
They've got to get production out of the bongo right now.
All right, so next ult, you look at it, they're going to be up. They're going to go up against 2 ults from Storybrooke. No is going to be up in the ult economy, because I'm assuming they're going to get the more up. They're going to literally have to pop them the second they get them.
Yeah.
30 seconds. This is the last fight. They have to end up underneath. They have to have a plan. Reaper might have to teleport in just to make something happen.
Yeah, it is going to be very dicey here. You got to get that damage bunk down early.
Reaper got the everything he needed there. He took out 4. Doofus helped with the 5th.
And it looks like
finally Storybrooke is not going to go out of this 0-2.
well, teams get set up here. Okay, so this is not going to be rolled. Teams have plenty of time to get set up. So no, it's just
the reason this doesn't get rolled is because you had to invest all of your ults to take them.
yeah. So now you as no, you're just going to do a dry run here. Just build ults. You're probably going to lose this fight, but just.
So I have a question because I've been watching the play of both Reapers on both sides. They're not running a lot of stunts to counter a Reaper. I wonder why we're not seeing the flank Reaper try to take a shot or two.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Behind the shields, and it's almost looking like, yeah, that's great, but you're going through both of the shields. You could have a Reaper. It's almost like they're letting their Doomfist try and take first pick, which might be a thing, but if you can get Reaper around the shields, then ooh, you do not want to see that if you're no. However, there's not a lot you can do.
Yeah,
against
that
Bongo and Blade, not Blade. The Reaper ult.
Death Blossom.
The spin of death.
The 1980s movie we all harken back to. Yes, Last Starfighter.
All right, so they're holding up top. It looks like there's a pathing issue for no. Okay, they finally got it together. I was concerned. Ooh.
I mean, right now, Storybook Villains is doing a great job of controlling these engagements. They're controlling early. Their ultimate usage is on point. Yes, right now they've got, they've got great defensive ults here. They've got Doomfist ult coming online. Whereas no, on the other hand,
I mean, absolutely. And I want to know if it's because they're playing what they know. Like they haven't swapped once. Right, they're in. Their communication looks pretty solid just from the movement.
So we are down to the last 20 seconds for Storybook Villains tying this up 1-1.
So you're running into a mirror comp. Again, I've mentioned you change up the healing. You change up the who's doing what. I mean, it looks like they're playing Brawl, but it's almost looking more Death Brawl than Brawl because no one's taking care of themselves.
Yeah, they're all out in the open.
Like everybody is expecting, okay, we have 2 shields, let me sit behind the shield. And that's it for no. Storybook took him to town.
Yeah. The series is now tied up.
I mean, that was really nice control. This very well could be the 5-map game. And I mean, it is absolutely what you want to see.
Well, you know, these teams,
top 2 teams.
Yeah, these teams have played before. They have gone through a break. Little bit of adjustments here and there. And maybe that's all it takes. And suddenly the number 2 team is the number 1 team.
Oh, and there's still a lot left to happen. I mean, again, you're looking at, it's tied up right now, 1-1.
And both of these teams, we are Owlet team, Owlet League here. This is Stage 3, Week 1. And yes, there have been Stage 1 and Stage 2, and both of these teams are at the top of the overall record. So we are watching the number 1 and number 2 team kind of slug it out here. And sometimes when teams are very similar in skill, the score is never indicative of how close these matches are. You know, it'll be 4-0, but it was a real close 4-0, and that's always kind of that's something I wish Overwatch would kind of all the other sports, you can kind of look at the score and kind of see whether it was close or not. But in Overwatch, that's not always the case. But so here, number 2, Storybook Villains did come in as the quote-unquote underdog, and they have tied it up on 2 CP. So now we're going to be going into Numbani, hybrid map here.
I'm going to interrupt you for a second, because the first thing that I think of is you're like, the other sports don't see it. And I'm thinking about a team that's on their 4th down at the 1-yard line trying to tie up the game, and that last play doesn't work. Because that's what this kind of like, as far as the skill-wise, and I'm like, and that's one of those big defining moments.
Sure.
But anyway, that's me picking it.
But
not
a football score, you can see, Oakland Raiders 72 and the Missouri Mud Hens 10. I mean, we knew it was it was not a close fight. But here, this is a match. Okay, we're seeing.
I'm absolutely excited to see Numbani for sure.
Yeah, because we're seeing that when it comes to death ball, when it comes to just punch you in the mouth fighting, Storybook has the advantage. When it comes to ranged fighting, No seems to have the advantage. So now we're coming into vis-a-vis the Farah. So now we're coming into Numbani. Are we going to see the range of No start to pick apart Storybook Villains' death ball approach to these fights?
I'm really actually surprised they didn't try to go the Farah route on that last map. It's not typical to see a Farah on Lunar. So that doesn't really surprise me, but it worked so well on Ilios. And I mean, I look to see something. I want to see more range, but overall from both teams, I want to see more creative skill sets from the individuals.
Yeah.
I want to see a Reaper do something really cheeky that probably shouldn't get away with. I want to see the Farah, like we've seen the Farah of No, completely obliterate Storybook. Wow, see, now you got me doing
it. and I wanted to bring up something. I'm thinking the tanking core for SPV, I'll go there, Sierra Bravo Victor, is a little bit better. They're getting more value out of those bongos than No is out of their tank core, from what I've seen this last match here. So whether that trend's going to continue,
because I do believe No is beating Storybook in here.
Yeah, I would agree.
So I do believe you have to make up the skill somewhere, or not the skill, or the lack of. Everything has to balance. The second it doesn't, that's where your match is tilt.
So right now both teams are assembling. And we'll see how both of this plays out, our theories.
I'm excited. I really do hope we see a change up in the heroes. And it looks like we do, in a big way. All right. Or they could just be messing with us.
All right. Well, we're bringing in the spectators here. Let them know what we're watching.
Attackers incoming in 30 seconds.
This is where they change with 5 seconds left, just to throw off the caster. All right, so far we're looking at double bastions. We are looking at a May on the defenders. So I am happy they're not trying the sim trick again.
5, 4, 3, 2.
And we're spectating Bastion right now because it's all about the Bastion.
It's a bastion. He is the Omnic to watch out for. He's a little bit scarier than the Zen, and he's, in my opinion, got more personality than Orisa.
And keep in mind,
Although he should not be out the door first. Okay, I thought his Storybook was about to make a really rough time.
and again, No is running a fair, which is, as we suspected, their range is a little bit better.
The Pharaoh wants to get the perfect boat. That's what you want to see here.
And right now, our poor Bastion is living by a thread. You know, this is...
Storybrooke gets a very tiny window to throw the poop from the Pharah. If they land that, they could lose a lot off that high ground.
Yeah, I mean, this is just a slugfest. This is just a slugfest.
And the Mercy is going to res the Bastion. This is... I mean, I don't know if this is what you expect to see. Like, if this is what happens on this map. Or... Because, I mean... I know at lower levels there's a ton of different tricks you can do.
Right, you know, because when
this looks almost kind of like chess.
Oh, this is just a slugfest. There's just two big brawlers walking into the room and seeing who's going to drop first after they punch each other in the head 5 times.
But I do like the fact that they have a May. Oh, you do not like to see the stun. Someone's got a texture point, 33%.
They're not going to make it.
Consistent results. Should continue.
Objective lost. Stop the payload.
Yeah, I'm sorry. They're not using their May wall to split things up and kill. They split up the team, but nothing died that was in front of the May wall. And then you can't really run a May wall against a Bastion anyway, not effectively. The May wall drops too quickly.
You know, once they took some of that health away from the May wall, you just couldn't buy yourself enough time.
But this does prove something I was really worried about. Storybrooke can run different heroes. We're seeing it here. So it's not this is the only heroes we can play. We do it really, really well. Oh, that was a really perfect immortality field by No. You don't get any better than that.
Oh, no.
That is what that ability is for.
Not that it helped them too much.
No, the payload is definitely moving. We are seeing some, No, it is changing it up a little bit. They do have a Reaper. And they have a May. May has her ult, so I can understand that. You throw it on point, nothing can, well, the Sigma can eat it. Because apparently they didn't have enough Pac-Man in this game.
So now that it's a little bit more open, yeah, now you can hopefully get the Reaper in the backline a little bit.
You need the Reaper in the backline. Okay, something has to die here. There it goes. The Reaper needs to kill. There we go. No! I thought the Orisa was going to drop, and the Reaper just kind of... This is not good. And that was an overroll.
Yeah, that's one ult they probably want back right now.
I mean, you're about to get the Bastion ult back, and it's the one that won you the point. But...
I mean, this is a brutal combination here that No's throwing out there. This range is just running havoc.
Until it doesn't anymore? I think the mistake there was the Bastion, and I think it was because the Bastion was not with the group close enough to take advantage of the Immortality field. The Immortality field went down, and the Bastion just dropped.
Yeah. So now we're seeing swaps here a little bit. We've got Reaper now. They're off the Bastion. Hey, you know, as far as riding the Bastion, you know, riding his shoulders until he gets you 10 meters away from the final, that's not a bad push. That's not a bad push at all.
No, it's not. I mean, you still got 3 minutes on the board, roughly.
Ult's coming out aplenty.
Jumping around. I like to see. I just seen a Reaper point. He's going to race away. All right. And watch for this Pharah ult. This Pharah ult's going to make it all happen here in a second. She's going to get behind a tree. and destroy. That was
Right.
a very quick shield.
But so far, while the cart hasn't advanced, it's not exactly falling back either.
I do have to give it to Laser. Laser on Storybook has started to play a lot more aggressive.
And again, right, we've got SPV tanks just out in front, making sure that that space is not only made, it stays. So
Yeah, I'm not really sure about the Orisa stepped in front of her own shield to get killed by a Reaper right after he ulted.
well, you being aggressive, you know, you're chasing after the Sig, you're confirming a kill that draws you a little bit out of position, but you're
Well, I mean,
taking
I
their
guess when your team has the spawn point right on top of your objective, I mean, I guess you can play a lot more aggressive. That's another one of those questionable.
But look at it this way. The cart arrived nearly 3 minutes ago, and it's gone 2 meters.
I mean, this is what you dread, though. While you are steamrolling and able to push and keep, you do not want it to stop this short, because this is the really, like, head to the pavement, like,
Because-
you have to slug this out.
Yeah, we are definitely in the smoke 'em if you've got 'em range. We are down to 15 seconds left. It's now or never.
This is going to be a really big feral that's got to go down. And it's got to hit. Farah is in the back line. And the Sigma is able to throw a shield, but not quick enough. Ooh, this looks iffy. Laser's got to pay attention to what he has. He has to have a healer. He's in the background without no raid. He will be dropping. He tried. It was good to see. And that is going to be a really good hold.
Touch from afar.
Okay,
Complete.
now
My guess is there was a real conversation, because the big difference I've seen between that map
To two.
and
Switching
Ilios
sides.
was at no point did they lose track of the Pharaoh one.
right.
The Pharaoh showed up,
Match.
she got blocked, she might not have died, but she didn't do much. All of her ults were contested. She never got like completely screwed out during an ult. She didn't get the 4 to 5 kills. They kept track of her. They didn't swap to counter, but they made the course and the comms work for them.
And it definitely was noticeable in the last stage. You know, sometimes it's called an OODA loop, where you're forcing the other team back on their heel. You're forcing them to react to something non-standard. And when they rolled in with a pirate ship, and they kept the pirate ship, it was basically, with the Bastion versus Bastion, No just had it executed better. Because they had the Pharaoh dumping in the auxiliary damage to augment what the Bastion was already doing, versus Storybook really didn't have an answer for that.
I think this team comp is Storybook predicting or attempting to predict No's play here. But this is what they know. Maybe no, it's not. It's exactly what they ran on the other side. Okay, I can see this.
Incoming. Defend objective A.
And we do see No run what has been ran. I like the pathing by Story. And they're out of line of sight of the Bastion.
Yep,
They
they're
know what it is. Reaper is underneath. He's got to avoid that Pharaoh. He gets out. Story is having to rotate. And
Right
they
now,
rotate well enough, and they are going to beat out Snow there. But that was really quick play on No's part. It really does suck that they are not going to see that 33%.
but it was a solid attempt. I like that approach. We've always said if you're playing versus a Bastion, it all comes down to how you path into an ambush. You cannot fight a Bastion at range. You have to get close. You have to ambush them. So how are you going to do that? And I think coming around the backside, they just fell a little short there, but overall, good effort. Back on the Bastion
I wonder
again.
what happens if they figure out a way, if they take the long way around, instead of going up there and they go underneath. I wonder if that can really mess with this Bastion. Because they really have to drop down. They cannot fight the Bastion up there. And that's why.
Yeah, when they're pathing in, yeah, they're doing the right things.
Thanks for
Except pay attention to the Pharah. And it's
Well,
been...
yeah, and they lost it there. But they're also having to pay attention to the Bastion. Which, again, I think they would be better off. Because by now, No is predicting their pathing. And unless they change their pathing up, it's super noticeable.
There goes your main tank.
And that's why. And now, if I was the Mercy Pharah, I would come around and just start booping them for my ult. Like, she has access to get over to some places they wouldn't expect without dropping down to the abyss, right? Like, she can hit some angles.
Yes. But if anything, they've just that one boop bought them a ton of time.
Oh, absolutely. And now this is the new pathing I was talking about. This is them picking a different way that they don't know about. This is huge. And you have to pay attention to your fare. And that's a wasted ult.
Pharah gets a solid res, back in the action again. On to the Orisa. Trying to get that ult charge back up there. Both teams are now full reset mode, down to 30 seconds. It's going to be a do or die here for the villains themselves. Can they pound their way through the constant onslaught?
They don't have the ult. It's going to be iffy.
Up main avenue they come. Hell or high water.
And it's going to be another Pharaoh ult to wipe. No! Ooh, you let the Bastion Rush go through. And this is Storybrooke cleaning up.
victory.
This turned into
Yeah, I mean,
a very interesting game.
you know,
Although I do think that we are getting our teams confused because I do believe they switched sides.
yeah, they switched sides. They switched sides. But we did allude earlier that the range of No going up against the death brawl of, and we see it here in the play of the game. You know, they didn't.
I
They
gotta write
don't.
some names down because I didn't even. I assumed the left was No and the right was Storybrooke. This is what happens when you don't write things down.
Rank
That's
amateurs.
horrible. It really is. Absolutely. That's how you lose jobs in casting.
But we are now. They're up 2-1 in the overall score here. And we're moving on to Watch Point Gibraltar. And again, another range map. So historically, you would think this does not go towards SBV's direction. The villains are not looking for a range map. The villains want I want to punch you in the mouth map. And so there's got to be a little bit of discussion here because so far, No has gotten a ton of value out of their pharmacy. And
Yeah, I mean, you absolutely have to keep track. That is for sure.
you know, what do you do?
Pharmacy
Because
cannot be allowed to wander.
yeah, the previous strategy of we've got to swap the maps, swapping teams again, so they're swapping sides.
Oh, I have it written down now. The mistake was not happening.
But
And I'm worried about that because I'm like, wait, these names. If I'm like, okay, maybe I just missed.
But you know, their current strategy of just ignoring the Pharaoh and try to win the ground game isn't panning out. It's just not panning out. So
Well,
what do you
I
do?
mean, and
Do
I
you just
wonder if
keep?
It's, my big thing there is it not panning out because you're getting outplayed, or is it just a comms issue to where you could win it completely as long as you keep track of where the fair is?
Possibly.
What part of it isn't panning out? Because it, ideally, even at almost the highest levels of play, if you play your characters at the highest standard, then you should be able to work it. And I imagine that's what Storybrooke is, the thought process. Storybrooke's like, okay, we play these characters really, really well. Then maybe, but I mean, this goes back to something I tell
Yeah, I
my
mean
team
it.
all the time is just because you practice and you give 100% does not guarantee you win games. So I mean, you have to. Maybe you're just not playing against fairs enough.
Yeah, and you know well, I mean, if the meta lady that you brought to the dance has gotten you this far, you just give up on her, and maybe not.
Well,
But
it's not. Here's the thing: you can't give up on it if all you know are the dances that they know. If
Right.
something else plays on the radio, you're just gonna have to wing it because you don't know anything else.
But
So, I
here we
mean-
go. We're going to be going into Watchpoint Gibraltar. And again, both of these teams are kind of vying for the number 1 and number 2 spot
And this
in the
is
league.
on the this is on the competitive list. So I mean, I really do hope to see some more interesting stuff. I mean, a lot of the things here are textbook. This is what you do on this map. So we'll see if it continues to be predictable or throws us some loop-de-loops.
Indeed. So it is down to SPV. Their backs are against the wall. They're down 1 map. They're number 2 in the league. Chance to take number 1. All rests right here on Gibraltar.
This is where you want it. This is where you want to tie it up. Even if you don't come out the other end victorious, this is where you tie it up to make it go down in the books. This is where you make the game later on mean everything.
Right, because Nepal is your map. It is a brawl map. Can you get there? Can you get there?
And we
Alright.
seem to be seeing another. I mean, it's standard. I mean, you know what's going to happen. You know what gets everything to point A to point B, and we'll see if they all make it work and brawl it up. All right, we have Storybrooke attacking, no defending.
1. Attackers incoming. Stop the payload.
I do like the Reaper on No being a little bit more cheeky and a little bit more confident, but they
Yeah.
are getting wrapped around. You do not want to see this if you're now.
Well, now, yeah, it's been kind of flipped.
And you lost your Lucio. Oh, it just swapped it. But you have to know Storybrooke has the respawn advantage.
Yeah,
So
you're
you will be seeing them a lot sooner.
you know, there. For me, it's the big thing is the Reaper has to stay alive here. You know, for No, that's going to be a big thing.
And that's going to be it for No. No is going to have to pull back a good bit. I mean, it really sucks to get it swapped, and then you have the respawn disadvantage. So you're having to come back now. But they're moving the cart slowly. They only got one person on it. They're setting up for the attack. We'll see what happens. They're coming in quick and fast. They set up to stop.
All outs are out. And
I want to know if that's a missed ult on those parts.
quite possible. But right now,
And
the
the
cart.
only reason I say that is because they already had 3 days. Like, I guess you could hope that you're able to stop it there, because that's where you want to stop it, right? Like, if you're defending, you want to stop right before that break point.
Yeah, that's where you want to grind some time off right now.
But now, you're Storybrooke with a whole bunch of ults in the pocket.
Reaper ult off, but not a lot of effect.
No, I mean, yeah, unfortunately.
But
He got a lot down to allow other people to clean up.
all right, so you got to make some adjustments. I mean, you just keep doing what you're doing here.
Well, I mean, they would have to toss away quite a few ults here. And honestly, I don't think the Reaper has to get more creative. The Reaper is playing extremely like, these are my shields, this is where I am. And without the aggression and without the surprise, I mean, a predictable Reaper is predictable.
Yeah. But Storybook continues to advance the cart right now, trying to get it up top of the hill, but no. Finally, some good defense here from No. They're able to bring this back around.
And for the first time, we see the cart stop.
Yeah, the cart has stopped. So a lot of time in the bank, 4 minutes, 20 seconds. And here they come.
The next fight, and it gets streamed to this. They are going to get caught, and a really nice sound barrier. And a return ult, and a return sound barrier. Are we playing goats right now? The predictability is astonishing. Alright, we really need Reaper on no side here to really pull it out. And they got one, they got two, they are stopping it. And this is where you want to stop this cart. You have a relatively close spawn. The only downside, and the thing that No has no option, and actually No and Storybrooke both have no option. They have no range to take advantage of this long corridor.
Yeah.
At all.
So can the Reaper get into the background and do a great
Oh
ult?
snap! We got the Reaper dropping down behind, and there's the ult! He gets stunned out of it. You don't like to see it, but it was different. Oh, and you do have Storybrooke going down! Not Storybrooke, sorry. No.
Hey, No.
I'm not thinking.
No.
No. Dude, I mean, it was...
So close to capping it.
And you have No making the switches to get to point. They are using their ult, but they need to get the kills to make it worth anything. There's too much red on the map. The blue is dropping, and that is point.
As SBV pushes it all the way with 2 minutes, 34 seconds left on the clock. Solid effort.
While Storybrooke did not get the production value for numbers out of the Reaper ult, I wonder if there was some distraction there. Because the Reaper ult didn't kill anybody, but you had to watch No react to it, turn around, and reposition. And the second they did, they dropped.
Yeah. They employed good counters on a lot, Reaper on both sides, but overall, you know, while I thought this was going to be a range map for no, I thought they were going to bust out the range. They didn't. They just deathballed it like they have, and again, we've seen this before. SBV out brawls no. Don't enter into that arena. Don't step into it. Fight them on your strengths, not their strengths.
But as soon as we say that, we end up with SBV playing something they haven't played.
Well, you know, it's going to be up to their defense right now.
And I mean, I could be completely wrong, but we're also seeing no might as well have a Hail Mary here. We got a Brig, a Zen, like outside of the SIG, this is no, and they are switching last minute. They are going to go pirate ship.
No, they've got pirate ship with a fair as the flanker.
Against another Bastion. This is where you go back to your spawn and you switch.
And right now, they cannot get up. They cannot get onto the cards.
This is where you get off the fair, because either you get your fair to flank around outside of line of sight of the Bastion, or you get off of it.
Yeah, they're gonna have to use that BAP to get on the point.
The fair cannot be in straight line of sight. Like, it's just not gonna work. You're going up against too many shields.
Yeah, you have to do YOLO, and that's just not going to happen. Not with the Bastion. They're just going to tear you out.
Like, why can't you have the fair flank around and boot people off into your Bastion and into your line?
It's all about shield break. They're all in on it.
Why not avoid the shields altogether?
That's always the option. As right now, the Ferret chases the Bastion over the ledge.
And now they get down into the valley where the next fight starts. The Farah does not have what she needs. Oh shit, they don't take her out. They allow that ult to go off. What in the world just happened?
3 kill here.
You can't ignore the Farah. The lessons of their forefathers went ignored.
First point down.
That is Sigma's not in a good spot. What the?
Hard
they just
forward hold.
The May just helped them.
And the Farah's just like, the Farah finally going down by the Bastion.
Yeah, but if you're Storybrooke, this isn't where you want to stop them. I guess you lock them into spawn and hope they don't switch to a Reaper.
All right, so what do you got to work with here? You've got ults across the board. What do you initiate with on your defense?
With a May? Oh, on defense.
I mean,
wait a second. The blue is. I'm getting extremely. The blue is the attacking right now. The red is the defense. You may.
Yeah, you may.
You figure out where they are and you make it happen. Although they can't right now because they literally have no vertical. They drop down. The May went. This might be an overall.
Well, we still. You know,
that was a massive overall from. No.
Well, they went all in on it. Unfortunately, it didn't pay off.
If they switch, okay, they did make the switches. They do now have a Reaper, which I think is hugely beneficial.
Yes.
Yeah, they can make it.
So, defense. We've got Bastion ult, and we've got Lucio ult.
You get your Reaper on top of the Jet, and to make life miserable. That's not the way that counter ult works, but okay. They have high ground. That doesn't work that way. But, I mean, no kills are happening, and that's fine. The Bastion is on the ground.
Yeah.
Oh, no. Poor Bastion. That's not going to get res. I'm not sure what I'm seeing here. It's complete and utter chaos.
Yeah, both teams are.
Storybrooke has fallen. No says no more.
And final flight here for second stage falls.
They has the ability to make better time. They're leading rapidly, and we just watched Storybrooke change their heroes to what they know. And we have a Pharah. So, and I like that change. They didn't have to change. They were not dead. They were not in spawn. They went there because they seen the change of Storybrooke.
And keep in mind, they've already beat the time. So, well, no, they haven't already beat the time. They've got 30 more seconds to hold off there.
Right. But I think it could happen. You got this Pharah in your backline, like.
Yeah,
It's.
The only thing that's stopping the Pharah is reloads.
You are winning the 5v6 fight.
Yep. Like I said, the only thing that's stopping the Pharah at this point is just the sheer reload.
I do like that No is doing their best, and Storybrooke's Lucio wanted to get into the fight too.
All right, so they've now beat them on time. It comes down to, can you win it? Can you go out on a win here?
I think No wants to tie it up at 2-2. No, Storybrooke, listen here. I will get this right eventually. Storybrooke wants to tie this up 2-2.
Go out on a win here.
Storybrooke came to play. I'm calling him Storybrooke. I'm changing the name. It's one of those games. This is exciting. I really do like the fact that
This can go to 5. It can go to 5.
Not only, we got a Reaper racing in the back line. Is he going to be able to make it happen? And can he get out of there? He gets out. He ventured into their backline and lived. Oh, he's about to have his ult too. Oh, but you lost your Doomfist. Do you hold ult here? Because you're one down. Yes,
I'd say yes.
You
hold all your ults. You use
the Reaper shouldn't have tried to wraith there. He should have just ate it. Oh, they're gonna come at the spawn. Please don't go to the normal way. Please go the back route. Please go. They're not gonna go the back route, are they?
They're coming in. They're gonna get walled off.
You do not want to be here. Oh, they're down. You pop ult. All of them. I cannot believe Storybrooke's Lucio.
They might have it here. Down to 30 seconds. They're in control. Holding the corner. What do they have?
Storybrooke's Lucio got that ult off. Literally in the middle of a barrage.
And here we come.
That was some fancy footwork.
We're down to 10 seconds. We're all in, boys.
Reaper in noticeable high ground. He's about to drop. He's got to get out.
Ults are coming online. Unfortunately, not able to hold the corner.
But I mean, you're already up ahead. You're ahead at 2 minutes and 30.
But you would have liked to have gone out, you know.
No, absolutely you would have. And had the Pharah ult nicked the Lucio and made the sound barrier cancel, that would have been round. That would have been it. They would have been going home. Like that would have just been their match.
You know, looking in the replay here, I'm showing that the Pharah ult's out there, and the Lucio ult goes in, and yeah, did a really great job.
But I will go ahead and give some hype to the Storybrooke Reaper, because he has actually started to venturing outside of Shield Land and trying to make things happen.
And I think it's paying off.
It's really throwing them for an edge. It's making
Because
them turn around. It's
their
making them have to deal with a 360 fight.
Yeah, you've got their Pharah in your back line. You have to do something. You have to either pull that Mercy off or do something. They only have one healer now, because the Mercy's on the Pharah. So if you get in the back line, you're causing some immediate burst damage. Yeah, you can really be doing some good work here.
All right, we're looking for No to get. They got 1 minute on the clock. Let's see what they can get to happen. The stun on that Bastion went up. The Immortality field's down.
Check this out.
30 seconds remaining.
That's not what you want to see.
That is not what they wanted. No.
All right, so we're getting No back together. The band's getting back together. They are trying to side everything out. They do not have any ults on the board. Literally, this is all a positional game, and it comes down to this fight.
All in. All the chips are in the center of the table. Gotta get him off the card.
Storybrooke loses the first, the second, the third. No is going to progress.
The inevitable is slowly overcoming the solid rock there.
This is not where you want this to end. You want this map to go 2-2, or the series to go 2-2. This has to get. You have to stop this.
Yeah, and right now you're dealing with a
No
bonk.
one's pushing up. Storybrooke needs. We see the ults go down. Oh! Ow! And No continues to move.
I am seeing something. Their SBV Reaper is going after very high value targets. Yes, the tanks high value targets, but they take a long time to burn down. Time you do not have.
You're not stalling the payload's moving, and they get the point! More ults are going out.
It doesn't matter at this point.
I mean, it matters because the time doesn't advance. Ults went out, and they're dead again. We could see a 1 minute 3-point cap. They got to make sure they got everybody on the payload. They're leaving the Lucio on the payload. Here we go. The Maze got him split up.
No ults.
And Storybrooke clear this card. Yes, yes they can. It took them a while to get there. But, whew.
So you think it was maybe a little ult mismanagement, or was it just really good play by No?
I will make the very junior call of, I think, with your opponent with 1 minute on the clock, and with you with 3 minutes on the clock, you bank all 6 ults, you do dry runs until you pull out 2 or 3 ults, and then you just hit all of them. Because any ult that gets blocked with no value, and you don't move them off the cart, especially in overtime, means the cart's moving, and you don't want that to happen.
So an extra 2 minutes on the clock, but with that being said, that last turn that's a bit of a punch in the gut there, so Storybook, now you've got me doing it. SBV has to reset and focus and really get some production here. Now they're running the same thing. No's running Bastion as defense. They're running Pharah as a ranged harasser.
I think Storybook just had the map a very good possibility in their favor. To literally, you're back at throwing dice. This is anybody's map.
You know, and here we go. Again, the Pharah can just do it from
nothing to deal with this Pharah.
The boop knocking people off.
No has nobody on the card. It is not moving at all.
The Reaper gets focused down, taken out of play.
I will not wait.
You know, we've gone back to Pharah does more than just get damage in barrages. When you have a team pathing in like this, it interrupts the
They
pathing.
have nothing. They can't touch her. She has a mercy attached to her. You cannot touch her with anything you have.
Now watch the concussion. Knocks him off. Barrage already online.
And there it goes. Yeah. You ignore the Pharah at your peril.
And they really need to come up with an answer here, because right now they've run the same thing twice in a row.
They're not even changing the pathing. It's Pharah's able to get a ton. Look at her ult right now. She's at 40%, 47. Like, by the time they get where they need to get, she's going to be halfway to her ult. She might get another ult. And all the work that Storybook just did is gone. The saving grace was they got the Bastion to swap. And he's back. I don't know if I like that choice or not.
So now they've just got a deep defense. They've got 1 minute, 30 seconds on the clock. They're set up in a, you know...
Storybook is being kind of cute now. I like the Reaper trying to hit the Pharah. But he is getting higher and higher. This is not what you want to see at all.
So we've got Mayult to work with. You've got Mayult to work with. You've got probably...
Mayult is huge. The thing that they have to block with the Mayult, or to get with the Mayult, they instantly have to take down the Immortality Field.
Yeah. And I think...
take down the Immortality Field, I think there is a really good chance for that Mayult to get a lot of value. Until Pharah eats everything. And this, you trickle the Moira.
30 seconds remaining.
That's it. Like, Storybook has 3 ults that's about to come online. No just burned their ults except for... Actually, they're about to have 4 online as well. This is...
Yeah. The Reaper has to get value here. He's constantly getting worked by the Pharah.
This is on the end. No's going down. They're down 1, 2, 3. That's it. Storybook gets taken out by No hard.
So No retains their leadership above the board by taking it.
I think this was Storybook's game. I think that with a few tweaks, Storybook can come back in a really big way.
Yeah.
But I am interested to see that game later on, because I hope these guys see it again. I would really love to see the changes and outcomes of this map, and the training that goes to prevent it from happening again.
So we roll into the post match here. No, taking it 3-1 across. The only map that Storybook was able to launch a really good counteroffensive on was Horizon Lunar Colony. Again, it's kind of a 2 CP map. They were able to play against their strengths of being able to brawl this out. And consistently throughout the night, we saw no tossing range at a Storybook, and not Storybook just really. They have, look, these are both low diamond teams, okay? They have in their kit that if they so choose to, they can choose to counter it in a different way. Now, in this case, they chose to run the ground game. They were all in on beating whoever's on the ground, and we're going to overwhelm the damage that the solo healer on the ground is giving to the support troops, and we're just going to ignore the Pharah. The problem is it just didn't work out that way. I mean, the Pharah was always on the villain's Reaper constantly. And for me, I would say, the Pharah was kind of the MVP of the entire series, says me.
I think the Pharah gets MVP only because they literally did nothing about it. I mean, literally any hero could have been MVP if you just flat out ignore it. I mean,
but they made
they
made the good call.
Corridors. Really long corridors went to the Pharah. Pharah had her ult when she wanted it almost every single fight, where they walked uphill into the Pharah's fire.
But nonetheless, both of these teams supremely skilled. While villains did go down tonight, the rest of the teams in the division of the Majors division have to be on point. They're probably going to be watching this game, see if they can get any takeaways. But regardless, they're a team that cannot be taken lightly. The small chink in their armor is just that. It is a very small chink in that armor. And while No has the skill to take advantage of that, No didn't walk out of these fights easy. Villains were able to control a good portion of these fights. Watch Point Gibraltar, that last push aside, they did a very good job on controlling fights when they had to, being aggressive when they needed to, and just out brawling them. So if there was any small takeaway, I would say villains, Reaper, maybe like you commented on throughout the night, that they need to get some more value out of that Reaper. How you do that, not sure. Maybe it's doing a little cheeky flanks, maybe just harassing the backline a little bit more. But that's why he's there. He has to get value, and sitting behind a shield all the time, less value. So
I think overall, if I was Storybook and I wanted to, if I went up against a Pharah again, if I wanted to run the comp, then it absolutely has to be, the big takeaway I think is Pharah has to, you have to know where the Pharah is at all times, and you have to be able to stay out of her positioning as much as possible.
Correct.
But no, I think both teams are extremely skilled. I think it absolutely was anyone's game. I was really expected to see something. I think the end came down to how ults were used on Gibraltar and the value of the ults versus maybe a few mistakes here or there getting taken advantage of.
Agreed. And on that note,
but I mean, it was a close match across the board. Like every single map came down except for Horizon. But yeah, every other map felt pretty solid.
So we wish both teams good luck in the future. Again, I'm Cajun Wise Guy, along with my friend Owlet. We are on Slipstream. We're over in the Miners division, so
Woohoo.
not that we can compete with these teams in any way, shape, or form, but we hope you all enjoyed the broadcast tonight. And again, reach out to your administrators. We are all volunteers, so if you can thank them for running this league, it's all donated time, but they would greatly appreciate that. So regarding myself, bonsoir. Everybody enjoy their evening.
Man, I need those things.
And we're out.